Can anybody go check on Samsung? Because I think Apple just killed them. All right, so first up for the day, story numero uno comes from a report by Bloomberg's goodest boy, Mark Gurman. Mark's report is actually about Apple's switch to making their own displays, which we briefly talked about in the last episode, but this is a whole thing. And in that report, he has a sneaky little detail about everyone's favorite overpriced Apple Watch, the Apple Watch Ultra. Now, so it starts with the Apple Watch Ultra, but there's a lot to unpack here, so hang on. For context, Apple relies heavily on other manufacturers like Samsung, LG, sometimes BOE to make displays. Apple spends a lot of money and time doing this. Now, Apple also spends a lot of time and money, though, trying to limit their reliance on these other companies. I feel like there's still a lot of confusion about how this stuff typically works and how Apple does this. They're not just outright buying displays from Samsung. That's why a display in an iPhone doesn't look like the same display that ships in a Samsung phone, because they're not. Apple is designing these displays. They're just outsourcing the people that have the tooling and manufacturing scale to produce these things. So Samsung, LG, BOE, they're all just manufacturing an Apple-designed display. But oh boy, does that stuff cost a lot of money. For instance, on an iPhone, the display is the most expensive part that they buy. And I guess Tim has just decided enough is enough! Since 2018, Apple has been working on making the switch to their own display tech. So much work that they actually had an internal deadline to make the switch in 2020. Oh, that was some bad luck there, guys. Naturally, things got a bit delayed. Some stuff happened that year. Nothing in particular, really. Just, it was a busy year. Anyway, things have finally been moving for Apple's work on the Switch, and this brings us to the big tasty part of the story. Apple has been front-running their testing of Apple Display tech in the next iteration of the high-end Apple Watch Ultra, which makes perfect sense. The Apple Watch Ultra is not only a niche, higher-priced product, but the screen is only 2 inches. It doesn't do anything weird or have any weird curves or anything. It's literally the perfect guinea pig product for something like this. So it starts with Apple Watch Ultra, but then, once they get moving and they start putting their own displays in the iPhone, it is bad news bears. Bad news bears for LG, Samsung. It's not great for them, to be honest. They are going to be losing out on what you would say is a lot of money. At least a couple dollars. Not only did Marky Mark give the goods about internal testing, he also gave us a potential announcement date. 2024. Probably. Apple's 2024 target could potentially slip until 2025, some people involved in the project said. The company could also just offer a limited supply of the new devices to get the transition started. Naturally, per usual, Mark doesn't sound too sure, giving himself a little bit of leeway. Not surprising there, but either way, the reasoning does make sense. This makes sense, and oh goodness. Apple making their own silicon, Apple making their own displays, feel bad for these other companies. To be fair, they originally planned to launch this or start this transition in 2020. I don't know if you're playing along at home, but it is not that year anymore. It's 2023. Obviously, there's been quite the delay already, so, what's one more year? Right? Also, as we just mentioned in the last episode, we talked about how they're pushing to switch more of their devices to OLED instead of the boring old LCD. So this is all just culminating in a big old swirly, Apple-y hurricane of money and time, and just, wow. Seriously, if this switch to Apple in-house display tech goes even half as well as Apple Silicon has gone, I will eat a shoe. Yes, I have made this statement. If Apple displays don't suck, John Prosser, will eat a shoe here on the show for you to watch. And it's not like I have a history of promising I'll do things go horribly wrong, and then I actually do them on the show. That hasn't happened before. Is it bad? Is it bad? I am a man of my word, and I could not see how this would backfire or go poorly at all. Not even a little bit. So, okay, last up for the day, story numero lasto. This one is your yearly checkup. This is your yearly doomsday apocalypse prediction that the iPhone this year is going to be more expensive than it was last year. Gasp. I know. Stop me if you've heard this one before. According to a definitely reliable post on the Chinese blogging site Weibo, and via an unverified source. Oh, this is good. Starting off strong. And I know you guys, you always ask when I mention sources that aren't like very reputable or unknown or unheard of. When I mention them on the show, you're all like, why'd you even talk about it in the first place? Because it's news. And this is a news show. Don't know if you know that, but like if other media is covering it, we're going to have to talk about it to add further context. So if you see it on a bunch of websites and people are writing about this unverified source, I'm going to come here and be like, so yeah, probably not. Anyway, according to this totally unknown person on this blogging site, Apple is planning on increasing the price of the iPhone 15 Pro line. Oh, God. Okay, here we go. This is a quote. Apple will raise the price of this year's iPhone 15 Pro. Oh, by the way, this is translated to English. So, Apple will raise the price of this year's iPhone 15 Pro series, further widen the gap with the iPhone 15 Plus, and leave enough market space. At the same time, the iPhone 15 and 15 Plus are expected to be equipped with Dynamic Island and 48 megapixel main cameras as standard. Okay. Well then. So, let's try to be nice here, because this report did gain some traction in the news, as these things typically do. From what we're hearing, the iPhone 15 Pro lineup is looking to get some serious changes over previous years. Something like a possible titanium frame and higher-end periscope zoom lenses and whatnot. Not to mention, we are getting an Ultra version this year. So maybe this report has some merit. I could also see an instance where it's not like all the phones are getting more expensive. It's just that in total, like, yes, the lineup, there is a higher range. Like, the maximum goes higher than usual because of that Ultra phone. Because, yes, they're going to charge more for something called the iPhone 15 Ultra. Another interesting thing that they mentioned was that the regular iPhone 15 and iPhone 15 Plus will be getting the Dynamic Island 2, completely getting rid of the notch. Finally, this is not the first time we've heard this, though, so this is not new information. Just a reminder. If you haven't heard this yet, we've heard this a lot. Okay, guys, so here's the deal. In the last story, I promised that I would eat a shoe, right? So let's add to it. For this one, if the iPhone 15 Pro does get a price increase, I will also eat a sock. That's right. In front of you, in front of your very eyes, I will eat a sock and a shoe here on the show, just to complete the whole set. You know, I mean, you might as well. What is a shoe without a sock is my motto. And plus, what are the odds that they're actually going to do this, right?